So this deep dive it's really unique. We're setting aside the usual analysis today because our source material is a short story, a profound final journey written by a man named Richard. It's titled The Sweet Hereafter.
And it was shared with us by his close friend, Jurl, as a way to honor Richard's life, his imagination, and his final thoughts on peace and identity.
Exactly. So our mission is a little different this time.
That's right. We aren't here to critique or analyze the writing. We're simply here to share his voice.
Think of us as guides.
Yeah, guides through a narrative that is, on one hand, epic in its spiritual scope, but also just so deeply intimate in its details. This story is Richard's gift. We want to let his words breathe.
Especially as they get into his quest for faith and identity and that unconditional acceptance he was searching for.
Right.
So let's start where Richard begins. On a mundane Monday night, May of 1993.
And it's that normalcy, the absolute routine of it all that makes what comes next so radically shocking.
Contrast is everything.
It is. Richard gives us this perfect snapshot of, mid-career exhaustion. He says he was beaten and tired after working all weekend, constantly on call.
Yeah, this is not the setting for a revelation.
No, it's a setting for collapse.
And he walks us right through his evening ritual. He comes home to an empty nest.
Cooks a completely unglamorous meal.
Oh, totally. Tyson's mesquite barbecue in my microwave.
Right. Has a beer or two, spends some time in the hot tub, and is turning in around 10:30.
It's the definition of a necessary but, totally unremarkable existence.
And he frames it with this powerful, almost heartbreaking summary. He just boils his life down to this mechanical loop. Work, eat, sleep, work, eat, sleep.
Wow.
Yeah, and he says he was just marking off a list of about 20,000 uneventful days.
That weariness. That's the context for this immense internal shift that's about to happen.
Absolutely, and it shatters the routine.
It does. The transition starts with a dream, and it's not a peaceful one.
Not at all.
He describes a weird dream about Vietnam, and the image is so grotesque, so visceral. He's cleaning a huge area of abscessed rot on some fat officer's thigh or buttock.
It's medically horrifying, emotionally draining. And you have to wonder, right, does he suggest that this vision of rot and suffering was somehow necessary before he could see the sublime?
It's like he has to go through the muck first.
Exactly. He moves from the reality of physical decay, right there in that dream, straight into this immaculate celestial ascent. It's a kind of complete spiritual purification.
And it's instantaneous. He writes, he soon found myself transported into this huge high-ceilinged room with an endlessly high wall.
So he's gone from a small, dark bedroom to this infinite soaring space.
And the space doesn't just surround him, it remakes him.
Yeah, he says he suddenly appears 16 years old, the age of promise maybe.
And he's all perfect looking with no scars or anything detracting from my appearance.
All the flaws of those 20,000 uneventful days are just erased. The weary physician is replaced by the unspoiled kid.
His appearance is simple. Loose white garments, no shoes, no socks, no hat. He's looking upward, straining.
And that's when he sees them, the angels, scattered all across this impossibly high wall.
He describes them as being dressed like him, all perfect looking and beautiful, like in Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel.
Which is such an interesting detail, He's connecting his personal, private, spiritual moment to this shared cultural history of transcendent art.
Right. It makes the beauty feel universal.
And then the sound begins.
He looks up and he starts singing a hymn, one he loved as a kid, but it's just in a tiny, weak voice.
A hesitant start.
Very. But that hesitation is met with guidance. An angel gently grabbed my hand and pulled me slowly upward, passing me on to one bigger, and so on.
This physical transfer, passing from hand to hand as he goes up, it's incredibly gentle.
It's not a violent yank, it's a shared, loving journey.
And as this slow physical transfer is happening, the sound just explodes.
Yeah, his tiny voice is completely overwhelmed. The hymn starts to quake from the sky,
becoming louder and louder and more melodious and glorious until the heavens shook with splendor.
This is that moment of just pure, overwhelming jubilation. All the angels join in, singing the chorus over and over.
But the experience doesn't end there in that glorious room.
No.
Yeah.
And this is where the story takes a really unique turn. He writes that he's suddenly wide awake in his bed, staring at the ceiling, but at the same time he is also in the ceiling, looking down at himself in the bed.
Wow. I mean, that is an astonishing description of an out-of-body event.
It is. But what makes it so specific is what he sees when he looks down at his own body.
What's that?
He says his head was normal, but his body was a round pool of brilliant, flickering stars.
Oh, come on. The man who ate microwave barbecue is now a constellation.
Exactly. His mortal body is pure cosmic energy. And to make sure he knows it's real, the sound is still there. The hymn continued in all its glory.
And he makes a point to say it. I swear to you that I was awake.
He's looking at his own starlit self while the music of the spheres is shaking the ceiling of his bedroom. He figures it lasted for maybe 20 or 30 minutes.
Long enough to really take it in, to know it's real.
So eventually he gets up. He has to confirm his reality, right? He walks into the bathroom to make sure he's still me.
And is he?
Well, the confirmation isn't just that he's physically there, it's the emotional change. His eyes were wide open, and he had a peaceful smile on my face.
And as the music slowly disappeared when he went back to bed, it left something behind.
A profound residue. He calls it a feeling of pleasure, peace, and serenity that was beyond any earthly description. And he says, crucially, he'd never felt so entirely at peace with myself and my whole world.
And he was afraid to move, right? For fear the feeling would just cease.
He was. But it stayed. He woke up to the alarm, and the peaceful smile, that oneness with my God and my world, was exactly as it had been.
And this is such a vital part of the story's power. It's not just an internal feeling. There's an immediate, tangible change in his behavior.
Yeah, when he showered and went to the hospital for rounds, he had a visible glow on, and everybody could tell.
His colleagues, the nurses, were amazed by my excellent mood, the smile, and my newly found gracious behavior.
The celestial vision had a concrete, immediate impact on his work life.
And he told them the story in detail.
He did, and the interpretations start flying. They suggested astral experience or a classic out-of-body phenomenon.
And how did they react?
He says they were incredibly pleased for him, but also a bit jealous because, how often does that happen? These profound spiritual confirmations are exceptionally rare.
And the change wasn't just his mood at the hospital, it was his whole disposition. He had to drive to Modesto that day for disability examinations.
A task which, would normally require a lot of scrutiny. It could breed cynicism.
And he says his usual degree of cynicism was gone. It's just gone. He couldn't even bring himself to try and spot a fraud.
He was simply giving all patients the benefit of the doubt. That is a huge shift. The peace he found made judgment impossible.
Right, so the certainty he gained wasn't passive. It was an active mandate to live with compassion, without judgment.
And he spent weeks telling the story. He says all were amazed and truly happy for me, even the most skeptical.
So this enormous cosmic event, it just completely rewires his internal world, which leads to this deep certainty he now has.
And that's where we get to the philosophical core of his message. What did that certainty actually translate to in terms of his understanding of God and the universe?
The foundational change is the shift from faith to knowledge. He states it so clearly. No longer did I wonder, is there really a heaven or a hereafter or a God? No longer did I have to have faith, because now I know.
That's a critical distinction, isn't it? For someone whose life was based on belief and struggle, what does that transition to definitive personal knowledge actually mean?
It means the end of doubt and the beginning of real peace. He says he received a message in a celestial language that was clear. He will go to heaven.
And that heaven is truly wonderful and pleasureful and serene and filled with jubilation.
And the practical takeaway from that: no one should fear death.
That's the universal message. But the most critical personal revelation, it's deeply intimate. It addresses the core of his lifelong conflicts.
I want.
He states, emphatically, most of all, though, I know that God loves me, and I mean all of me.
That phrase, all of me, that's everything. That is the key. He addresses that internal struggle, the fear that his sexuality would lead to harsh judgment.
And he says, no, I know God does not judge me for it.
In fact, the feeling he got was the opposite. He believes God maybe loves me more because of the struggles and conflicts which crisscrossed my entire existence.
So the struggle isn't a failure, it's a mark of honor. It's this powerful message of unconditional love that sees difficulty as merit.
Which leads him straight to his conclusion on human difference. He asserts that God loves diversity, or he wouldn't have made us all so different from each other.
His personal truth becomes a universal truth about creation.
And the universal mandate from this whole transcendent experience, it boils down to something so simple, so human.
Live with honesty and with compassion for ourselves as well as for our neighbors. It brings the cosmic right back down to how we treat the person next to us.
It's an incredibly grounded conclusion, but there's one final, strange, almost anticlimactic detail that follows all this.
The case of the lost and found hymn.
Exactly. The weird consequence of witnessing the heavens shake was that when he woke up, he couldn't remember the hymn at all. Not the words, not the tune.
It drove him nuts. He wanted to sing it driving or whistle it in the kitchen, but the memory was just, it was gone.
Can you imagine that? You've just experienced the ultimate celestial chorus, and now you can't even hum it on the way to the OR.
The spiritual glory was there, but the earthly language vanished.
So then, a few weeks later, he goes home to Massachusetts for his nephew Jason's graduation. He pulls an old hymnal out of his mother's piano bench, and there it is.
He finds it immediately. The title, "This is My Father's World."
He must have been ecstatic.
He was. He immediately sang it without even looking at the words, just letting the memory flow. But when he finally checked the written lyrics,
they were different.
Completely different from the song he'd heard shaking the heavens.
So he hadn't heard the traditional version. He had heard his own.
His own. His customized, personalized language of glory. And the words he prefers now, which he says perfectly describe the whole shebang, are, "This is my Father's world, and to my listening ears, the angels sing and round me rings the music of his love."
What a beautiful and just a perfect conclusion to his journey. Richard took this monumental spiritual experience and anchored it not just to love and forgiveness, but to embracing one's own truth.
His story goes from the ordinary Tyson's Mesquite barbecue
to a celestial body of flickering stars, and finds its final piece in a deeply personal revised hymn.
It really is a powerful and loving final statement. It's not about a distant, harsh authority, but about a presence that cherishes all of me and specifically celebrates the struggles that shape us.
A message of profound personal acceptance that he carried and shared.
Absolutely.
And it leaves us with a provocative thought, something for you, the listener, to mull over. Richard's memory lost the traditional words to the hymn, right? It forced him to write his own, to truly capture the glory he experienced.
So what if the language of the sweet hereafter, that language of ultimate truth and acceptance, is always unique and custom-tailored?
What if we only truly hear it when we listen, not through expectation, but with our own personalized listening ears?
Something to think about long after this deep dive is over.